In the chair opposite me is a beautiful young lady.
Thank you.
She's a beautiful young lady. And she's only 8 years of age.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Very good. And she counts very well. As you know, you can hear her. She's just, you know, she's very astute. And she's sitting in front of me, and she goes by the name of Geneva London. Good evening, Geneva. How are you doing?
Thank you. Hello, I'm doing very well.
Now, when I spoke to you a little bit earlier, you said it's getting to past your bedtime.
I'm supposed to be at bed at 7:30,
Yes.
but since it's a special event today, you've stayed up and stretched the time.
Stretching the time. Wow. And does that mean that you're going to fall asleep partway through this little interview? Are you likely to just fall off that chair? And do we need to get some safety barriers for you? Or are you sure you're going to be okay?
I'm going to be awake through the whole thing.
You're going to manage?
Because usually when I've got special events happening, I stay awake. But then when I get back in the car, I'm already sleeping.
Well, that's the place that you can fall asleep, when you get back into the car. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to discuss with you a special talent that you have at such a young age. Now, I've seen this talent and I've heard it. And some of you listeners might have been able to kind of get a little gist of what the talent is. I mean, she's in the background. You might have heard a few little taps on the table. And I know she's itching to hold on to some sticks. But young Geneva is a drummer. Is that right?
Correct, Armando. Ding, ding, ding.
Now, the all-important question, what was it that made you decide that you were going to become a drummer?
I really enjoyed listening to taps and claps, and I enjoyed listening to music with beats.
Yeah.
So I started to play the drums. I started off at the pad, and then for my 7th birthday, I got a drum kit.
Now, you mentioned you started off at the pad. What is the pad?
So the pad, for everybody out there, if you're thinking pad as in technology, it's not pad as in that. It's pad as in the drum pad that's made of, what is it made of?
Made of rubber.
Rubber. And it doesn't seem like rubber, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, tough rubber.
Rubber, and I use my drumsticks on it, and it's very bouncy.
And that's what you started on, then you moved on to a drum set. Now, what was it that made you decide, yeah, I kind of like the drums? Because you must have heard the drums somewhere to have felt to yourself, this is where I'm at.
I hear it everywhere.
And who first brought the drums to your attention? Was there any influences that you had?
My father.
Your dad. Now, we do have your father here in the studio as well. But we're going to keep it concentrated on you. So your dad plays the drums as well? And there is obviously the important question. Are you better than your dad?
No, I still have a lot to learn.
You have a lot. I'm so glad that you iterated it so well as well, because I know Dad's sitting next to you thinking, oh, what's she going to say here? She might think that she's better than me. You have a lot to... Now, do you take lessons?
I do.
And who do you take lessons from?
My father.
He teaches you. But having taken lessons, you've managed to accrue an ability to play particular tracks from some famous artists. So we're going to let the listeners listen to Geneva London. We're going to play a clip and give the listeners a little taste of what Geneva's all about. Now, I first had the opportunity to witness the live drumming prowess of Geneva at Coco's in Camden in London town, and the concert was in fact Lala Hathaway live on stage. And Geneva, you happened to be there, and I know when you walked in you didn't think to yourself that I would have known who you were, having seen you before, but I saw you on that stage. What was it like to be on a main stage with such a great artist?
It was exciting, and also I was underage, so you were supposed to be 18 or over to join in, or if you were invited, you had to be 12 or over to come backstage.
Yeah, but
for me, since I've done hard work and practice, and I made progress, and I performed loads and loads of times, and kept on getting better, then I got the opportunity to go to a place where you're supposed to be over 18. But
And
I came in
how did
like
it
way
feel?
under.
How did it feel with so many people in front of you? Because that must be quite daunting, or are you not able to see them because of all the lights?
It feels normal.
It feels normal to you.
That was like in Little Big Shots.
Oh yes, and we'll come and talk about that a little bit later on. But Lala Hathaway was there, and you also they invited somebody in from the crowd, and unfortunately it wasn't me that joined you on the stage. I did kind of try to make the effort to get through the crowds, but there's too many people. I was going to join you on the stage and dance with you, but a young lady came and danced with you on the stage and also showed your dance moves. So you're not just talented in drumming, you're a dancer as well.
I can dance, sing, I can do some fresh rhymes. I can pretty much, you name it.
You can do it.
I'm learning the bass.
Wow. And I know that you're able to do the drum beat to Michael Jackson's Rock With You. Now, it's a shame that we don't have any drums here in the studio, because I would really have loved you to just sat there and just shown the listeners exactly how it's done on a proper set of drums. And you know that the Rock With You track came from Michael Jackson's album Off the Wall, which is 39 years ago. Would you believe that? 39 years. And an 8-year-old is in the studios of BBC Three Counties who can play the Rock With You drum beat of a 39-year-old track. It just goes to show that music just lives forever, doesn't it?
Music lives forever. It's immortal.
Now, we also know that not only do you play the drums, but you have some very, very strong ideas about leadership.
I do. I want to start my own press. I want to do a bit of some filming on comedy.
And you already do a little bit of filming. You have a YouTube channel for leadership on a Monday, isn't it?
Mindset Monday.
Mindset Mondays. You see, I know these things. I've been watching. And what is it about leadership that makes you feel that it's very, very important for somebody as young as yourself to have to consider what leaders and leadership really means?
Because out there, there's good leaders who want to make a better place, and there's bad leaders who just want the glory for themselves. They've got to know what they want to be. Are they going to pick the bright side or the dark side? Dun, 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 dun.
Now, you were on Little Big Shots as well. What was it like working with Dawn French?
It was amazing.
And do you consider yourself a Little Big Shot?
Of course.
And how did it pan out? How did you manage to get onto that show?
How did I manage? Practice, hard work, making progress, and then I got the opportunity to perform.
And did Dawn French do some drumming as well?
Yeah.
Or did she leave it all to you?
She done a bit of drumming on a snare.
Okay, just what, a single drum?
I taught her how to do rudiments like singles, doubles, and triples, and paradiddles.
So a lot of technical terms goes around the drumming, doesn't it? I thought you just got the two sticks and just hit the drums in a nice rhythm and you were away.
There's a variety of drums.
It seems very complicated.
A lot of hard work.
How often do you practice?
I practice about every morning, afternoon, and I think before I go to bed.
Before you go to bed? Not a cup of hot chocolate before you go to bed? The drums? Geneva London is here with me, Lee Drummond, on BBC Three Counties Radio. We're going to take a little break and come back and talk to her just a little bit more. Sounds of Mr. Michael Jackson, and that track taken from the Off the Wall album, which is an album that came out 39 years ago. And in front of me we have a young 8-year-old Geneva London who absolutely loves Michael Jackson. She understands the drum beat of his particular track and has played that track, performed the track. It's recorded on top of that particular track, and she's live with us here in the studios of BBC Three Counties. Geneva, how you doing?
I'm good.
You're good. You're still awake as well. That's really good. I'm glad to see that we haven't bored you on this show. My gosh.
Of course not.
This is a young lady that has done so much in the industry already, and she's managed to get herself on the stage of Coco's down in London town. She's been on the TV show Little Big Shots with comedian Dawn French as well. And she's here with her parents as well. And I've got to say good evening to Eugene as well. Good evening, Eugene. How you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. I know that I'm kind of like putting you on the spot here, and you must didn't think to yourself that we'd be talking to you. But it must be a very, very proud moment for a parent to to know that their child has achieved so much in such a short space of time, especially considering the kind of world and the environment we're in at the moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We saw from a very young age that Geneva had such a creative flair, and such a passion for learning and doing more than what the limits would normally suggest she could do.
Yeah.
And we just try to give her that freedom and try to remove those limits so that she can do whatever she feels that she can do, creatively or academically or whatever it is. We want to try and give her that platform. So
speaking of loving to learn,
go on.
On our wall, we have frames that have stuff saying, "We love to learn. Practice makes progress." So practice makes progress means if you keep on practicing and practicing and practicing, you'll get better and carry on and push beyond the limit. But practice makes perfect. Now here's the difference. Here's the confusion that some people get when they hear practice makes progress and practice makes perfect.
Now, I mean, the thing is, as a young 8-year-old, I mean, Geneva comes up with some very, very strong ideas and very, very emotional and motivational speeches. And that's something that a lot of our youngsters, especially across the 3 counties and across London, across the UK, this is the kind of verbalization that they need to hear, and that they need to see. And I'm sure that there must be also a downside. I mean, there may be some parents out there that think that maybe as an 8-year-old, does she speak too much? Is she allowed too much, or automatism to go out there and express herself in such a way?
I think you're always going to get people who say children have their place and children should be seen and not heard. And it's, I mean, I grew up in that culture. But when you hear some of the profound things that she says, you can't silence a voice like that. You have to hear it, and you have to pay attention, especially when it makes sense. Sometimes some of the wisest things can come out of the mouths of little children. And we have to pay attention to that.
And one of the things that we know with a lot of the youngsters who are out there today is that they themselves feel that they're always being silenced, always being told to be quiet, always being told, go to your room, go and sit down. And now we're in the kind of digital era where in actual fact we want the children to come away from their room. We want to be able to see them and hear them and understand what is it that motivates them. And for Geneva to have such a talent, and the talent obviously inherited from her parents as well. We can't let that go amiss. We understand that you play the drums as well, and obviously that has been something that's been passed on, and it's something that parents need to nurture as well. So Geneva, I mean, even down through the likes of Beyonce, their group and their entourage have looked at you as a drummer and have said, they think that you are great, and they actually support everything that you do. I mean, how does it feel to know that somebody as iconic as Beyonce and Beyonce's entourage have made comments about your abilities?
I feel like it's great. It's amazing. I've still got far to go. But there's a lot of people who are in the top charts who are seeing my videos and commenting. That doesn't mean I stop and take a break. That means I do more, because I see how a lot of people are impressed how I'm playing.
And with regards to school, because I suppose we can't move away from the fact that education is still an important thing for somebody as young as yourself.
Education is key.
Education is key. So if you had to pick a subject at school, what's your subject?
So at homeschool, my subject would be math.
Maths. So very, very strong on your maths?
Firstly, it's challenging, and secondly, it can get me through a lot of stuff, like science and music.
So you can use your mathematics in all of these areas, and you realise that?
I realise that.
So if you have to send a message to all the youngsters that are out there now that are listening, possibly past their bedtime, what's going to be your final message to all the listeners out there?
Use your math for everything.
There's the message from a young lady. She's 8 years old. She goes by the name of Geneva London. You can catch her on her own little blog on YouTube. There are clips that have been made from her on the internet. She's been seen by the likes of MC Hammer and Stormzy, Beyonce. She's been on Little Big Shots. She's now been on the world famous BBC 3 Counties Radio. We say thank you very much indeed for joining us.
And you're welcome.
And it's time for bed. Good night.
Good night. Oh.